Adam Peters. It was made official yesterday. He'll be introduced to the press today in Ashburn. He's the new GM for the Commanders. He's been a member of staffs that have won 6 conference titles and 3 Super Bowls.
His resume is great. The only thing that would get me nervous is, are they going to go down the road of hiring your boys, which is what Ron Rivera did by bringing in all his Carolina guys. So Bob Myers is part of this search committee, and right off the bat, you're like, well, he's got a connection with Adam Peters.
I think it's pretty obvious they brought in Myers to get Peters. That's
Maybe.
the single reason why they brought him.
Well,
I mean, he's got the championship pedigree, but...
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has a great resume.
For sure.
Undeniable, but I would say the Chiefs guy had a great resume, and some of these other guys had great resumes.
But you only pick one.
That's my own. Look. I think it's a good hire. My only thing I would worry about is are they just going to hire their guys, their boys?
Well, I think
and that's usually how it works.
I mean, I don't know what the relationship is, but if you believe, like JP Finley walking around here and these other guys that are tweeting and stuff that follow the team, Peters was their number one guy. Like, the fix is in. Peters was their number one target. And so I think they put the advisory board together that would attract him. And I think Ben Johnson is their number one target, and they're probably going to get him.
Like in years past, Peters
And you should be happy about that.
He wouldn't have even taken the interview here.
Right.
Like,
of course.
They not only they got to him first, and they secured him.
Yeah.
Like, he would have laughed at the interview in Washington 3 or 4 years ago.
He wouldn't have touched Snyder.
But now with the new ownership group, he takes it. You're just importing winners into the culture here. This guy's won. Myers, obviously, championship pedigree.
On paper, it looks great.
But the other guys had won too. Outside of maybe the Bears guy, Cunningham.
Right.
You might have pointed to the Bears, but even he had success in other organizations.
The word on the street, just kind of reading some of the stuff out in San Francisco, is that Peters, he's worked with Belichick, he's worked with Elway, he's worked with, obviously, John Lynch, that he had a lot to do with player evaluation and draft evaluation over the last 5 or 6 years.
No, they're saying he might be the number one guy.
And he, if you look at what they've done, getting George Kittle in the 5th round, getting Lenore in the 5th round, they've had a lot of starters drafted late. Greenlaw, Fred Warner, those guys were mid to late round picks. Obviously, their first round picks were like Ayuk, hit. Going out and trading for McCaffrey, hit. Going out and get Trent Williams, hit. So getting Purdy. And
Purdy's a massive hit.
Kyle Shanahan, I put a lot on his plate too because he kind of helped him develop.
Trey Lance, a massive
Lance
whiff.
is a miss.
That's true, but there's been a lot of pluses.
Trey Lance is a miss, and I never would have drafted him. He's my lowest rated
They
quarterback.
didn't just draft him; they traded a bunch of draft picks.
But in fairness to Trey, and believe me, I think he sucks. I can't remember a first-round pick that's gotten less of an opportunity before teams have just given up on him. Yeah. Well, I mean, how many times has the guy played?
And also, nobody drafts perfectly.
They quit on him
up and down the board every single year.
No, of course, you're going to have misses.
You're going to have high-profile misses, and that's one of them. You can't come into this thing with a perfect record drafting.
Again, I'm all for it. I think overwhelmingly the fan response has been positive. If you went to our Facebook page or Instagram or Twitter, everybody is positive on this hire. This is what it's going to come down to. Is he going to draft the right quarterback?
Right. And
if he drafts the right quarterback,
then
he's going to be a success.
It looks like
if not, if they pick Drake May or if they draft Jaden Daniels, let's say with the number 2 pick.
Yep.
And that's a whiff. Most likely his tenure is not going to be great.
You're right.
For sure.
You got to hit on that number 2.
People are also welcoming that.
The last 2 number 2s for this team have been huge whiffs. RG3 and Chase.
Let's hope that history doesn't repeat itself a third time. It just looks like a professional outfit now.
Yeah.
It's not, it's a coach-centric approach. We're letting Ron, juggle too much coaching and personnel-wise. Or it's, the owner making picks from his yacht in the Mediterranean. Like, it looks like a real outfit.
Those days are over. Yeah.
Right.
It's a real company.
Professional.
It's a real company now.
So
which is all you can ask for.
Kudos to Josh Harris so far. If you want to chime in, 800-636-1067. I did put up a Junkies poll today brought to you by Van Meter Homes about whether people are optimistic of the hire if they're lukewarm, wait and see, or not optimistic only got 5%. I mean, that's like true hate. That's feeling like there can never be a change. But 68% say fired up, about 2,000 votes. So are you fired up for Adam Peters being hired as the GM? You can chime in at 800-636-1067.
On paper, it's a great hire.
Right.
You just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
But I am convinced that this was their number one target. Their advisory board was put together to attract their number one target. And these other guys were going to have to blow them away to surpass them.
I agree with you.
And they did not.
I agree with you. And look, Peters might have been the number one guy for all the teams looking for a GM.
Yeah.
I would assume he was in
But
the top of
if you
everybody's
were
list.
Nate Borgonzi or Ian Cunningham or the other guys who had interviews,
You had
you
no
almost had
Yeah,
no shot.
No shot.
Yeah.
The fix was in.
There was a superstar out on the circuit that was
There's
available.
a reason why they brought in Myers. I mean, his championship pedigree is awesome, and I like the outside the box thing. But they brought him in for that connection to attract him, and they got him. And of course, Harris being a new owner and having the wherewithal and the experience, that's very attractive in the draft pick. I mean,
It must be
And you
nice
go-
to
and
be
you just-
that successful where just you being there is going to help the organization land the big fish.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure he's doing work for it, but it's just his profile and his aura is just
Well, do
helping
you think
attract
Peters-
huge names.
Do you think he would have come here if we didn't have the number 2 pick and they weren't $80 million below the cap?
I mean, that certainly
Don't
makes
know.
it more attractive.
What if they had the 15th pick and they were
$30 million?
Well, and they were like everybody else.
Maybe not. He
cap-wise.
probably looks at it as a great opportunity.
Probably being paid a lot more than he's ever made.
sure he has.
I saw him get off the plane. Looks like he's got a beautiful family.
Of course, guys,
And so it's life-changing for him.
it is. But I believe he's from that Bay Area.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
So that's a big move.
It's a big
It's a
West
big
Coast,
move,
East
man.
Coast.
You wait. It's got to be perfect to take you out of that.
Yeah. But that's what
Oh, yeah.
assistant GMs want to
He
do.
has
They
such
want-
leverage. He just brought the hammer. He brought the biggest hammer.
Getting a
into the
5-year deal. Does
negotiating
anybody know
room.
what the money is?
I
I
haven't
have
heard.
no idea. I'm sure
5
it's
years.
5 years. You
$5
want me to
million?
guess?
$5 million?
I'd guess about 6.5.
They pay GMs that much?
a year.
No, I don't think they pay GMs that much.
I'm going to say 3 a year.
I think he's making more than that. He's the hottest commodity out on the market.
I know, but what do GMs make?
Somebody already sent a tweet, by the way, that it's 1/10 of a mile.
Okay,
and that
that's
was
fine.
starting at Shake Shack.
Okay, understood.
It's probably
I may
less
have-
than a
I may have
mile.
been off by that.
I don't
But
think
I
they
did
pay
hit the-
said it was a
GMs quite
quarter
as
of a
much
mile.
as...
I hit on my Packers.
Hit it on the Packers.
Let's not forget that. Everybody's just sweeping that under the rug. And I won't let that stand.
I'm going to try and see if I can find what GM
Like
salary
who's
All
is.
right, Ozzie Newsome. This was as of
Yeah.
this year. Ozzie Newsome making $2 million. John Elway was making $3 million. John Schneider, Seattle, was making almost $4 million. Belichick. Now he's Belichick.
All right, that's
he was
different.
making.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, I'm going to say he's in that 3, maybe 4 range.
Well, if John
I'm desperate
Schneider's
to know.
making 3 or 4, you might make close to 5
Right,
if
'cause
they're really
Peters
trying to
and
attract
his
him.
rep they might go in, chest out, saying, look, my guy's better than all these clowns. He's better than Schneider. He's better than
Right,
all
if you
these
want him, you're gonna have
dudes.
to pay him.
Yeah, you better pony up.
Right.
You better pony up,
There's
bitches.
no going rate. You got to pay me.
This is the $3 million
We got
a
to
year.
uproot my family.
Yeah.
I got to leave my hometown
Right.
to come to this poop show that hadn't won a playoff,
Yeah.
one playoff game in
You got to
30
pay.
years.
You got to
whatever
pay
hell
the
it's been.
sin tax for being
Yeah.
bad for so long.
Yeah. No, he got a good check. I would say it's probably
All right,
at least.
I think it's a
$4
good
million.
hire.
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree that Ben Johnson seems to be everything you're hearing, their number one choice.
Yeah.
But I was thinking
But
about
I
it
don't
from
know the
Ben
connection.
Johnson's perspective.
Yeah.
If I'm Ben Johnson, I'd kind of be interested in the Dallas Cowboys to see what happens here. What if Dallas fires Mike McCarthy? You walk right in, you got an offense like that with Dak Prescott and CD Lamb and a good offensive line. You got a lot of
Better
pieces
to
there.
start here with the low expectations.
What if you start in L.A. with the Chargers? Like, there are better spots, I think,
I don't think Dallas.
as an offensive coordinator to take over than Washington.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure
I mean-
Dallas is, because if you go there, let's say you got 2 more good years from Dak, and you still have all those playoff questions. I think Dak could win in the playoffs, even though he hasn't yet. But still, you got questions. You got contract issues.
I'm just saying, I don't know. Ben Johnson,
gotta deal
his
with
confidence
Gary.
might be, hey, I can go in there with those pieces and I can take them to the next level because my offense, we had Brad Spielberg on last week, has the most separation of any offense in the league. I know how to put guys in places. Meanwhile, McCarthy's got an outdated old school thing where the defense knew what was coming.
Yeah, but see here,
I could scheme them
You
up.
could start from scratch. You're starting from scratch here.
You can.
And you can mold your team exactly the way you want it.
I don't know. You're saying if you were Ben Johnson, Washington would be your number one choice?
It might be because the expectations are so low. I think they've been so bad here. You don't have to work with Jerry.
I think the Chargers.
Jerry or Josh?
I think the Chargers would be my number one choice, which might ultimately be Harbaugh's
But
choice.
the Chargers might want Harbaugh, and he might know.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if I'm Ben Johnson,
probably figuring they don't
The
want him.
Chargers would be a better choice than
I've
Dallas.
got the bird in hand with Herbert.
The Chargers I would rather have than because you got maybe 7 or 8 years with Justin Herbert still.
I mean,
assuming
Dak's not old.
it's not old, but he's getting up there.
He had his best regular season ever.
I think Dak's good, but there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of frustration.
I'm sure there's so many different decisions you have to make.
If you were Ben Johnson,
lifestyle,
which job would you take? Atlanta's out there too.
I wouldn't want anything to do with Atlanta.
Well, there's quarterback uncertainty.
I don't know.
There and here.
I might like Atlanta over Washington.
By the way, Philly
would?
might open up
Maybe.
after last night. There's a lot of Sirianni chatter.
True.
And all he's done is one for 3 seasons.
All right, let's bang out a few of these calls here. Let's go to Kevin in Lanham. Hey, Kevin, what's up, buddy? You're on with the Junkies.
What's up, Junkies? Happy New Year, all that good stuff.
What's up, Kevin?
What's up, man?
I don't think we should be concerned about Adam Peters bringing in his own people. Like, he's coming from a winning pedigree, consistently winning pedigree. It's the total opposite of what we did with Ron Rivera. We beat the Carolina Panthers, and you hire all these people from Carolina. You don't hire from a losing culture. You hire from a winning culture. So if Adam Peters has something that we don't know or a coach we don't know that's on that San Francisco team, I would love that. But please, also, quarterback, the offensive coordinator from the Texans, Slowick, what he's done with C.J. Stroud, I would be interested in him as well, too, if we're going to get a drafted rookie quarterback.
I think we're going to get into that later. Who would you rather have, Ben Johnson or Slowick? Both offensive guys were successful this weekend.
His name will be out there.
Yeah, I mean, I could get worked up for either one of those guys.
Get a lather for either one of them.
Slowick looks like a true baby.
Yeah.
That guy looks super
Well, that's
young.
the thing. I mean, do you want someone that young running your entire team as opposed to just running the offense?
Is he the next Sean McVay? If he's the next Sean McVay, the answer is yes.
Okay, if you can predict the future, and he's the next Sean McVay, then obviously you hire him.
Sure, but some of these guys,
But
I think,
Sirianni was the hot guy, and he may be on the outs after 3 years.
What if he's the next Hackett?
Right.
Then
but some of these guys are
clear.
clearly like geniuses. Like Sean McVay has got like his memory. He's just a genius.
Some guys are just built for that head coaching position as opposed to just being a coordinator and running one side of it.
I don't think
You
Nick
just don't know.
Sirianni, and I like him. I don't think he's a genius.
Peyton Manning was jocking his guy Tom Moore. He's 85. He's always been an assistant, never a head coach.
Is he still doing it?
He was on the sideline yesterday with the play sheet.
Really?
He's not the
Unbelievable.
primary play caller, but
But he's a consultant.
I don't know what his job title is with the Buccaneers, but he's on that sideline.
Yeah. I can't have an
He's an
85
offensive assistant.
85-year-old that does calligraphy for his play sheet, calling in the plays.
Let's go to Mo in Largo. Hey, Mo, what's up, buddy?
Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call.
Yep.
Mo was texting me grasping at the golf net, EB. You might have competition.
Oh, okay. You give it to Mo.
I think it's a great hire. I think, like you said, he's got a great resume. The pedigree's there, and he has the established lines of communication with, representation of the players to where they'll be able to do business. I mean, they might be more inclined to do business with him more so than prior GMs that we've had in the past. And as far as the quarterback pick, yes, it's very important that we draft the right quarterback, but we also have to draft the right coach. I'm not draft, but we have to acquire the right coach because, I mean, we can have great talent, but if there isn't the development there, then we find ourselves right back where we began.
What do you make of, Mo? What do you make of them in their initial list that was leaked or what that they presented or whatever, the guys they interviewed, that 5 of the 7 were D coordinators?
Not a big fan of that. I feel like
What's the
whoever we
logic
hire-
behind that?
Excuse me?
What do you think the logic is
Bunch of
behind
show
that?
ponies, EB, just like the
I think
GM
that's
guys.
what it is.
Yeah.
Who were the other GM guys they
fake
looked
list.
at? For some reason, I remember Borgonzi and Cunningham.
Yeah.
There were 2 others. They had
You know what
5
it is?
guys on the list.
Courtesy. They're throwing
Yes.
favors to guys.
I feel like whoever we hire is still working right now, and that's a good thing. We're not going out and finding unemployed guys. These are guys that are still on productive organizations that are winning right now, still in the playoffs. So I think regardless of which direction they go in, I think they're going to go in a good direction. And I'm just, optimistic on the way we move forward. But so far, I think they're hitting it out the park. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you, Mo.
Thanks, buddy.